I'm Tony Kent, and this is episode 8 of Tony Kent Writes and Chats. I think it's the 9th of April today, although I have to admit at this stage I am completely losing track of what day or what date it is. I have had an interesting day. As you know, we're here to document the writing of my 4th book. I'm not going to explain anything beyond that because otherwise we'll just have very, very lengthy episodes each time with me recounting what it's all about. But why have I had an interesting day? Well, today I have been writing. I have also been in court, in a way. I have also literally moments ago just finished appearing on William Shaw, the writer William Shaw, fantastic writer, his Facebook Live daily video show. I think it's 4 p.m. every day. It was certainly 4 p.m. today. I appeared along with Vic Watson from Noir at the Bar. I'll be appearing on the Noir at the Bar in May. I can't remember the exact dates, but I will make sure that that's publicised in advance. Also on the show, although not with us, pre-recorded, was Cara Hunter, and also Rachel Thapper Shatry, I believe is the right pronunciation. I apologise, Rachel, if that's wrong, from Top Hats and Tails, Hats and Bookshop in Faversham, which is an interesting combination. And apparently not a unique one, apparently there are two. So that's what I've been doing today. I've been at court, although when I say I've been at court, I was in Bournemouth Crown Court, but I was there via telephone. And because they spend about £15.20 a year on maintenance of the court system in this country, the judge was also supposed to be there by telephone, except his telephone didn't work. So he was there via Skype, talking into a laptop from wherever he was, which was itself talking into a telephone conference box, which was then talking to me with a Crown Court clerk in between, explaining to each of us what the other one had said. What a wonderful system we have, and how well resourced for a time like this, eh? Absolutely unbelievable. The upshot, of course, is that it's a really nice day. I didn't have to drive from Buckingham down to Bournemouth or get the train. And I got to appear in court in a rather less smart t-shirt than this, and the same pair of shorts that I'm wearing under here, which when you normally go to court in a wig and a gown is a very nice difference. So those are the two other things I've been doing today, but I've also been writing, and it's been an interesting little while. As I've explained, I missed out on a show yesterday. Instead I did an extra recommend show because I don't want to keep telling you the same thing. And the last few days I've been on the structure, I've been on the foundations that let the roller coaster run, as I keep explaining. Well, we're getting slightly beyond that now. A lot of what goes on in the next weeks and months will still be that, but there's also some more, and we're now meeting some important characters. And I think I told you before about the character in chapter 1, pardon me, and giving away how I see these things, aren't I? Episode 1 on a screen. Anyway, chapter 1, I told you all about the new character who came from nowhere. Well, we had another one of those today. Another character who didn't exist until yesterday. And I'm going to give you this character's name because it will be the subject of what I talk about for the rest of this show. The character is called Bambi O'Rourke. I love the name. There's so much to do with that name. It's just a great name. And where did it come from? I'm not going to tell you too much about the character itself, but she's going to be quite a major character, and that wasn't intended. But she's going to be quite a major character now because I just really like her. She's arrived, and she's arrived again, in my mind, fully formed. She's got a backstory. I'll tell you something about her. She is a black lady. She's in the intelligence business. I'm not going to say any more than that. So she's involved in what's going on in the book. She's a black lady, she's in her 50s, very serious, very slightly rotund, probably a little bit like Amanda Waller from the DC Comics in a way, to an extent. And what I love about the name, Bambi O'Rourke, is that it created this character for me because I just had this image of her saying the following, that she was called Bambi Moon. She was the daughter of hippies and she was called Bambi Moon. She married an Irishman, and the only good thing about that marriage was that she was no longer Bambi Moon. I just love that. I love that. And I like the idea of her saying, well, you know, I'd rather sound like a stripper than a hippie. Just little things like that. They really create just tiny things. Whether that line even goes in there, they create the character. And so she's now a fully formed character for me. And interestingly, this is what I want to talk about for the time that's left. where the name came from was an auction. I have various ways of coming up with names. I steal a lot of my friends' names and sort of mix them in. They all recognise themselves when it happens. I've used a lot of family names, and Michael Devlin, one of my main characters, is a family name. Joe Dempsey, well, Joe is my brother, and Dempsey is a family name. So I've stolen most of those. I've ripped off most of my friends' names. And I found one really good way of getting names was to auction names. So I've raised quite a lot of money for charity, actually, doing that. And I know that Bambi O'Rourke will raise a lot of money, or did raise a lot of money, for Mercy Ships, which is an incredible charity. Look it up. I haven't got time to go into it too much here, but it is going to be featured in a future book, actually, because I have an idea about it. But anyway, Bambi O'Rourke was a name that I had to use, and I had the character lined up, a Bambi O'Rourke, in the book 4 that I had to abandon. And I thought, it's going to be so awkward now because I'm going to have to speak to that person that paid for that. And it was such a different character. Nothing like the Bambi O'Rourke that now exists in the new book 4. And so now I don't have to go back with an embarrassing, I'm sorry, we had to abandon that book, can we put this into a later one? Because we've got her again, and actually, she's now an even more major character. And all I'll say about that again is, it came from nowhere. I can't really express the enthusiasm I have for that. Hopefully it's coming across. But whenever that happens, I've now got 2 major characters. There's lots of other ones. I mean, we've met a lot of people, whether they stay in the book or not. At this stage, well, they probably won't. The story will move on. But it will move on with my first chapter character playing a key role, and it will now move on with Bambi O'Rourke playing a key role. And I for one, just love that is now the direction this is going, and that these 2 fully formed characters are playing such an important part. And then last week, they were nowhere. There was a name, it was for someone else in a different book, and now they are key characters with a life of their own in this book. So that is what I've been up to today. That's where Bambi O'Rourke comes from. You will never know, reading my books, just how many people have paid for their names to be in them. And on that subject, going to power play for a moment, there is one character in this book, who was the result of a £15,000 donation to the amazing charity Caldwell Children. And this person paid £15,000 for her husband to be in the book. And I created a character, name and physical description. And it was always intended that he would be in the book enough to justify the fee. And again, in the way these things develop and in the way these people take on a life of their own, by the end of power play, he was the bad guy. So I would hope that that was £15,000 very well spent. And it wasn't intentional. It wasn't guided by the fact that this person had paid some money. The only thing guided was keep the name popping up. But then he became the bad guy. And again, hopefully that shows you these things really do take on a life of their own. It's just the wonder of this entire process. And when it happens, it's just fantastic. It's one of my very favourite things. Okay, that's today. Varied day, hopefully interesting day. See you tomorrow.